Number 3 here on a Monday afternoon on Danny and Dusty. No Dusty. Will Ortner in. Jeff Russ behind the glass. Whether listening on 1080 AM, watching along on youtube.com/1080 in the fan or twitch.tv/1080 in the fan. We appreciate you. We love you. Thank you for hanging out with us on this wonderful, wonderful Monday. And I want to get to the scourge of tanking. It is a viable path in the NBA. And it is mathematically the best possible thing you can do. And if you're arguing against that, the math doesn't really add up. But Tim Bontemps and Kevin Pelton have an article out on ESPN right now. We brought Pelton on the show on Friday, and a lot of the analytic modeling stuff that KP does factors in basically like EYBL, college, and projection style metrics, right? Mm-hmm. And I want to have KP on specifically to talk about Cooper Flagg because him and I had texted back and forth, and the idea of generational prospects. The whole idea of a generational prospect is that they're supposed to come across once a generation. Like Victor Wembanyama is a generational prospect.
Right.
Fortunately for the NBA, Cooper Flagg is a generational prospect. And just how generational is he? Well, using the modeling that KP has, okay, these are the top number 1 picks by WARP, the wins adjusted metric that these guys have, or it should be the wins above a placement player. That they project to, okay? The top number 1 picks by WARP since 2000, and I believe it's 2005 his goes back to. But was it 2 weeks ago, the Sloan Analytics Conference, which is where all the dorks all come together. It's a big dork off. It's the smartest people in the sports world.
Right.
And this is where their work papers come from. They pitch and they get hired and work in black boxes for the NBA or the NFL, NHL, that kind of stuff. But one of the conversations was about, is Cooper Flagg a generational prospect? And according to the WARP projections of Kevin Pelton's, the number 1 WARP adjusted player, and then what factors into this is obviously the statistical outputs, but also age and projection. Number 1 is Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
Since the last 20 years.
Well, I mean, he was the only person that has ever been able to stop Zion Williamson is Zion Williamson. Yes.
What he's been doing the last couple of weeks has been insane.
But again, he's shown stretches, at least that showed you that he could be that when he wasn't drinking too much Coca-Cola and eating too much and being fat.
Around the wrong people. Number 2 on this list. And again, this is just number 1 picks. This isn't overall players. This is number 1 picks. Number 2 on this list is Anthony Davis. Number 3 is Cooper Flagg. Number 4 is Kyrie Irving. Number 5 is Blake Griffin. 6 is Andrew Bogut. 7, Greg Oden. 8, Karl Anthony Towns. 9, Victor Wembanyama. 10, Ben Simmons.
How is Wemby 9? Is it because of the offensive game?
Lack of data and being the second oldest player and the third oldest player in this group. Because he came into the league at 19.3 years old. Okay. Cooper Flagg, as I believe the youngest overall player in this group at 18. He'll be 18.
Yeah, because he reclassified. He's supposed to be a senior.
Both him and Jeremiah Fears at Oklahoma State should have been high school seniors. Fears is the only player in college basketball younger than Cooper Flagg. I believe he's a November birthday. Cooper's a December. Incredibly young, and that's what was made Oklahoma, what Fears is doing, make a lot of people go, ooh, he's a lottery prospect.
Yeah.
But the stats-based projection for Cooper Flagg basically says he's gonna be great. Like everybody I just listed out in there, Greg Oden's injuries notwithstanding, and Ben Simmons' craziness notwithstanding, every single one of these players has been phenomenal. And some people are like, well, Andrew Bogut, I'm like,
he was awesome.
Andrew Bogut was a monster.
He was awesome, and he was probably the final piece for that first championship in Golden State. Now, I do want to push back on one thing. Ben Simmons was awesome.
Oh no, as I said, I wasn't putting Simmons in that because Simmons was incredible.
Because like Oden,
that was the craziness. That's all that is.
Oden you have to take out.
Yeah,
injuries. Ben Simmons was awesome in the league.
Ben Simmons was a was it 3-time All-Star in his first 3 years?
He was on the first team all defense.
Yes,
he was all NBA.
It's all between the ears with him. It's not a talent production thing. Like, we saw what he could be.
He started caring about other things,
or not caring at all. That's another discussion. But the whole idea of tanking is in that group. I mean, you look at these guys, and there's a real difference. Look, I think Paolo Banchero is going to be a very good player, but there's a very real difference between the projections of a guy like an AD or a Cooper Flagg or a Zion, as opposed to an Anthony Edwards, a Paolo Banchero, and again, guys that are very good. Like, those are all-star and potentially all NBA level players. But projection-wise, Cooper projects as, I can't remember this, projects as a Hall of Fame caliber player.
Right.
Which is an insane thing to say about a guy that's never played in the NBA. And that's what drives tanking in years. Nobody was really tanking last year. Not in the sense of like the egregious stuff.
You're talking the Washington Wizards, where they willfully
out of the
run
gate.
out.
And you're now seeing the soft tanking that we're getting, where to avoid fines, the Scotty Barnes with the Raptors, Alex Sarr with the Wizards, guys that should be playing, are playing 22, 23 minutes, and then they're not there to close games.
Yeah,
weird.
They're resting. They're tired.
I want to get more in this, but we're up against it. I want to dive into now that we kind of know why their teams are tanking.
Yeah,
what they can do to potentially get out of it, what they can do to change it, and the NBA's willingness to do so. We'll get to that next year on Danny and Dusty, Danny the Fan.